Today we will be discussing the steel tariffs and how they affect the world. I'll begin with the introduction. March 8th, 2018, Proclamations 9704 and 9705. The Trump administration issued two proclamations to the adjusting imports of steel and aluminum into the United States under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962. He established two categories, the first being import duties of a 25% duty to be levied on all steel products, the second being absolute quotas, meaning the maximum amount of steel a country can export to the United States. These tariffs officially came into effect June 1st, 2018. Due to the fact that the administration claimed that these tariffs were necessary for national security, there was no need for congressional approval normally taken by the Senate at this time. Who was affected by these tariffs? The tariffs were implemented as general welfare, therefore it applies to all countries. This caused immediate international and congressional concern, therefore the administration excluded Canada and Mexico at first, as these two countries are part of NATO. Additionally, they established a series of exemptions that countries could apply for if they met certain requirements. What makes these tariffs controversial is exactly who are the largest exporters of steel to the United States. When we take a look at this list here, we have countries like Canada, Brazil, South Korea, Mexico, Japan, Germany, India. Most of these countries are major U.S. allies, and therefore establishing these tariffs caused immediate international outrage. Most of them even threatened to countersue them with tariffs of their own. However, on June 1st, 2018, the administration implemented exclusions from certain countries from the quotas and duties. To begin with, Argentina, Brazil, and South Korea would be excluded from both duties and quotas. Additionally, Australia would be excluded from the import duties. At this time, various countries around the world, including the European Union and various African and Asian countries, are still trying to convince the administration on giving them exemptions from these tariffs.
Even though I'm not a fan of President Trump, I do see where he is trying to make good on his promise to make America great again. With all the items that come from other countries, steel is definitely one of them. America is one of the countries that sell the most cars in the world. Why not make an extra profit on an item that we sell to other countries? Steel tariffs are a start of bringing more jobs back to the United States. As it was said in KPS Global, the Washington Post reported that some executives in the aluminum and steel industry have said they will begin hiring for jobs that pay $60,000 per year as soon as the paperwork is signed. This is not only helping the American people by having a job, but also making more money than they did before. This is a start to helping our economy get out of the crunch it is in. These steel tariffs can also help protect American steel producers from closing their businesses due to the subsidies that is given from other governments to foreign producers of steel. Other than making new jobs and protecting the businesses, these steel tariffs are helping to secure our country. As most know from history, that the country that produces steel can produce weapons in which to protect themselves better than a country that can't. Also, countries that can't produce steel will look to us for this so that they can also have a better means to protect themselves in their time of need. So as you can see, having steel tariffs isn't really a bad thing for our country. If anything, it'll assist us in rebuilding our country better than it ever was.
Hello everyone, my name is Jacqueline Castillo and I will be talking about the cons on steel tariffs. So first of all, tariffs hurt both companies and consumers. Obviously the companies have to pay because of the tariffs, but what they don't know, what many people don't know, is that as a result, consumers will have to pay more because companies have to get the money, the extra money that they need to pay out of somewhere and still have profit. So the most instant solution is to just bump up the prices. It's not necessarily fair. Many people may complain, but it's just how it works. We need to get the money out of somewhere. Also, according to KPS Global in 2002, there was a tariff similar to this one, and it didn't work. It just producers domestically just raised the prices, but nothing else was really affected. Like employment, there were no new jobs created. The prices just went up. Also, there's no need for tariffs. In my opinion, and in many people's opinion, the steel market is good and is growing strong, and there's no need for tariffs. According to KPS, 70% of what is produced domestically is actually consumed here. So there's really no need to protect with tariffs or anything of the sort, because I feel like the market is good as it is, and there's no need to help it. And tariffs might even affect it negatively, and we will see how it goes. But
the impact on the U.S. economy. Due to the steel tariff, steel demand has increased dramatically. Domestic steel prices have increased by 40%, while aluminum prices have doubled. Some companies are benefiting from the tariffs, such as Nucor, which recorded its second best quarter in history in terms of profits. Another company, Reliance Steel and Aluminum, saw an increase in sales of at least 18%. Unfortunately, some companies are not benefiting from the tariffs. One example is Mid-Continental Nail Corporation, which had to lay off many of its employees. Another example is Harley-Davidson, General Motors, and Whirlpool. These companies are suffering in terms of profits due to the high material costs associated with the tariffs. Because the tariffs are coming from, because their products are coming from companies outside of the U.S., companies are forced to increase their prices, which has turned away some of their customers.
Hello, my name is Irma, Cerda, future in the USA. It is important to recognize at this point that there's a high uncertainty on what will happen to the United States if the steel tariff stays permanently. A major argument and the reason for creating this tariff is based on the belief that it will help the United States economy. It is believed that foreign producers of steel and aluminum have flooded the American market. This situation puts the national companies at a disadvantage. Issuing the steel tariffs puts the American people at risk of retaliation from other countries and our own products, such as motorcycles, bourbon, and jeans. The United States is also at risk of suffering a ripple effect on goods. If steel prices go up, then the prices of goods that rely on aluminum or steel most likely will go up as well. This will hurt the American citizens' pockets since we will be the ones to pay for those prices. This graph shows which states rely more on aluminum and steel, and it also shows which states could be more affected. It is also important to notice that the oil and gas companies rely on imported steel. If those companies have to pay more for steel, that could mean fewer jobs for the American people. Exports account in tens of thousands of jobs. The American people can expect a disrupt in the industries that rely on steel and a higher disruption if the trade partners decide to retaliate and hit the American citizens with tariffs on their own. The higher prices are good for the Americans in steel and aluminum measures. On the other hand, they are bad for those industries that rely on imported steel. Currently, there is about an $84 billion in pending construction projects in Louisiana. If the steel tariffs drives the prices up, it could affect the bottom line of the corporations and cause them to decide to pull the plug on said projects. If that is the outcome, then it will affect the American jobs. Americans have to hope that the positive outcome outweighs the negative and ultimately help the U.S. economy.
My name is Adrian, and I'll be conducting the global effects of steel tariffs. Most U.S. steel imports come from Canada, Brazil, and South Korea. The cost of U.S. steel price will rise and threaten to make American business competitive. So the U.S. steel prices are rising, but they're finding ways to import it from Canada, Brazil, and South Korea. Distribution effects of firms switching from foreign imports to domestic products. being that the U.S. steel prices are rising, companies have to find a way to get their products from a domestic point. If tariffs are placed on imports, firms may have to find a way to make new deals and find new suppliers. So if tariffs are placed on imports, the U.S. steel companies will have to find new ways around or deals or even new suppliers to get their steel into the U.S. And being that the steel prices are rising, be able to, for customers who better afford it. And that is all.